Hello, this is Jamie. We're talking about depression this week, and we're focusing on children and adolescents for the discussion board. I personally don't have a lot of experience with depression, both at work and at home, so this has been a really fascinating topic to read about this week. Particularly in children, I had no idea that kids, even between the ages of 0 and 3, could exhibit signs of depression. Um, and some of those symptoms between 0 and 3 are having feeding problems and tantrums, a lack of playfulness, and a lack of emotional expressiveness, which all makes sense, because when you're a mom, you know if something's wrong, if they're not eating right or having tantrums. Um, and then as the age progresses between the 3 and 5, so do the symptoms. They can become accident prone, be subject to phobias, apologize unnecessarily for minor mistakes, have transgressions like spilling food or forgetting to put their clothes away. Between 6 and 8, they can start having vague physical ailments, aggressive behavior. They can be very clingy to parents to avoid new social situations. Between 9 and 12, exhibit morbid thoughts and lie awake at night worrying about school, for instance. And then once they start getting to adolescence, a lot more of the anger comes out, be really hypersensitive to criticism, and have delinquent behavior such as running away, stealing, reckless driving, drug and alcohol abuse. And some of them actually suffer from major depressive disorder, which is that very severe anxiety, dread, guilt, a real true sense of hopelessness. Um, and what's interesting is that like half of these children who have depression also have another psychiatric disorder, like an eating disorder, a conduct disorder, an anxiety disorder, and also abuse drugs and alcohol. And some of the things that cause these cause depression has to do with genetics. There's definitely some genetic predisposition, or there's some evidence to support that if your mother or father has depression, that you're likely to develop it as well. And it's kind of like twofold, or kind of like a cycle, because you have a depressed parent who has a child who may neglect the child, so the child feels neglected and then depressed, and then the parent feels depressed because they haven't cared for the child the way they feel they should have. So it's just this never-ending cycle that could, happen with depression. Also, some of the things that can lead up to this depression are environmental factors like death or divorce of parents, um, the child's inability to conform to an unattainable ideal or live according to rigid moral convictions, setting too high a standard for these kids today. Some of it could be due to sexual or physical abuse, and that's really unfortunate. Um, but the depression all comes from an imbalance of neurotransmitters in your body. And some of the drugs that they're using now to treat adolescents that's more recommended than others are the SSRIs, or the serotonin reuptake inhibitors, which, excuse me, I'm fighting a cold this week, but the SSRIs actually inhibit the reuptake or the reabsorption of serotonin in the synapses, that thereby creating a more balanced a more balanced number of serotonin in your body to help stabilize your mood and thereby decreasing your depression. So these SSRIs actually exhibit less side effects than your traditional antidepressant drugs. So they are very desirable for the adolescents. Um, One thing to remember though, when you give any kind of antidepressant, especially to adolescents, within the first couple of weeks you have to consider the suicide rate um, tends to increase, and that's actually on the black box label, or the black label. So, within the first few weeks of administering an antidepressant, particularly in adolescents, you want to make sure that you're watching out for suicide risk, suicide attempts, and suicidal thoughts. Um, so, anyways, that is my summary, and thank you for listening. And sorry you had to listen to me cough. Have a good night. Bye.